I've been homeless. I bathed in a church bathroom. Won 19 Grammys. Had a career that was beyond my imagination.
I think these are just very dark times, and I think that even the people that have the message don't always give it the right way.
Kirk Franklin, the gospel music icon, has just shared something that's left everyone stunned. Known for his uplifting music, Franklin's life hasn't always been as bright as his songs. Behind the scenes, he's faced deep struggles, from a tragic past to personal battles that most people wouldn't believe. But that's not all. He's also revealing shocking truths about himself that many never saw coming. In this video, we'll uncover the highs and lows of his career, his tragic life, and the controversies that have followed him. What did he reveal? Kirk Franklin is a well-known figure in gospel music, recognized for his powerful voice and inspiring lyrics. He has been a prominent leader in the genre for many years, not just as a musician, but as a source of hope for those who find comfort in his music. However, Franklin's story is more than just about his musical achievements. It's also about the challenges he has faced and a recent, unexpected discovery that has added a new layer to his life. Recently, Franklin, who is now 54, was shocked to uncover a truth that would change everything he thought he knew. For years, he believed he knew his biological father. This man was a constant in Franklin's otherwise difficult childhood, but the truth turned out to be very different. After years of searching for answers, Franklin found out that the man he thought was his father wasn't actually his biological parent. The real shock came when he discovered that his true father, Richard Hubbard, had been living just minutes away from him for most of his life. This revelation not only surprised Franklin, but also made him face a past that was more complex than he had ever imagined. This discovery was a significant moment in Franklin's life, the result of many years of emotional and spiritual searching. For someone whose music often speaks of redemption and discovery, this personal revelation was life-changing. The man he had been looking for, the missing piece of his identity, was closer than he ever realized. This wasn't just a biological discovery, it was deeply emotional. Franklin's journey to this truth was filled with pain, confusion, and a desire for answers that had been out of reach for so long. Learning that his real father had been so close all along had a profound impact, raising questions about identity, family, and the role of our origins in shaping who we are. For Franklin, this revelation is likely a mix of relief and sadness. Relief in finally knowing the truth, but sadness over the lost time and missed connections. It's a reminder of how complicated and fragile a family can be, especially when secrets are involved. Before we delve further into Franklin's controversial past, we'll take a look at the tragic experiences that have shaped the man he is today. A tragic life. Kirk Franklin was born on January 26, 1970, in Fort Worth, Texas. His life began under the heavy shadow of abandonment and poverty, shaping a childhood marked by profound difficulties. Franklin's mother was just a teenager when she gave birth to him. Unprepared for the challenges of motherhood, she made the heartbreaking decision to leave him when he was only 3 years old. This act of abandonment was the first of many hardships that would define Kirk Franklin's early life. With his mother out of the picture, Franklin was taken in by his great-aunt, Gertrude Franklin, who became the closest thing to a mother he would ever know. Gertrude was a strong and loving woman, and she did her best to provide Kirk with a stable home. However, the stability she offered was often overshadowed by the harsh realities of their environment. The poverty-stricken neighborhood where they lived was not an easy place to grow up, especially for a young boy already burdened with feelings of abandonment and loss. Despite the difficulties of his early years, there was one bright spot in Franklin's life: his musical talent. Gertrude recognized this talent early on and did everything she could to nurture it. When Kirk was just 4 years old, she enrolled him in piano lessons, scraping together whatever money she could to pay for them. This was no small feat in their impoverished circumstances, but Gertrude believed that music could offer Kirk a way out of the life of poverty and hardship that surrounded him. Music quickly became a refuge for Kirk. He showed an extraordinary aptitude for the piano, and by the time he was just 7 years old, he was already playing in church. The church became another important part of his life, offering him a sense of community and belonging that he desperately needed. However, even as his musical talent blossomed, the challenges of growing up in a tough environment were never far away. As Kirk entered his teenage years, the weight of his circumstances began to take a toll. The stability provided by Gertrude and the church could only go so far in shielding him from the harsh realities of life in their community. Poverty, crime, and addiction were rampant in the neighborhood, and Kirk soon found himself caught in their pull. By the time he was a teenager, Kirk was deeply troubled. He began to rebel against the strict religious upbringing that Gertrude had instilled in him, seeking solace in the streets rather than in the church. He started spending more and more time away from home, engaging in risky behaviors that put him on a dangerous path. The environment around him was unforgiving. Many of his friends ended up in prison, and his sister fell into the grip of a severe addiction to crack cocaine. Despite his growing rebellion, music remained a central part of Kirk's life. However, it was no longer just a source of joy. It had also become a way for him to cope with the emotional turmoil that he was experiencing. The contrast between his musical talent and the reality of his life was stark, and it left him feeling increasingly isolated and lost. When Kirk was 15 years old, his life took a devastating turn. In an event that would haunt him for years to come, he witnessed the murder of a close friend. This traumatic experience shook Kirk to his core, forcing him to confront the harsh reality of the path he was on. The streets that had once offered him an escape now revealed their darkest side, leaving Kirk deeply scarred and questioning the choices he had made. The murder of his friend was a turning point for Kirk. It was a moment of profound realization that the life he was living could lead to nothing but more pain and loss. In the aftermath of this tragedy, Kirk made the decision to return to the church. He began to seek solace in the place that had once been a refuge for him, trying to find a way back to the faith and the music that had once brought him peace. Just as Kirk was beginning to find his way back to the church, he was dealt another devastating blow. In 1987, when he was 17 years old, his great-aunt Gertrude passed away. Gertrude had been the one constant in Kirk's life, the person who had loved him unconditionally and had done everything she could to give him a better life. Her death left Kirk feeling utterly alone and adrift. The loss of Gertrude was a turning point in Kirk's life. It was a moment of profound grief, compounded by the fact that Kirk was now a father himself. At just 17 years old, he was already facing the pressures of early parenthood, a responsibility that was made even more difficult by the loss of the only parental figure he had ever known. Kirk's grief over Gertrude's death was overwhelming. The pain of losing her, combined with the struggles of being a young father, pushed him to the brink. He was forced to confront the reality of his life in a way that he never had before, and it was a difficult and painful process. Despite the darkness that surrounded him, Kirk's musical talent continued to shine through. His role as the music director at Matted Rose Baptist Church was one of the few things that gave him a sense of purpose. But even this was not enough to completely shield him from the pain he was feeling. The weight of his personal struggles often made it difficult for him to fully embrace his role at the church. He was a young man in crisis, trying to reconcile his public persona as a devout church musician with the turmoil he was experiencing inside. By 1990, Kirk had been leading the choir at Mount Rose Baptist Church for several years. He was 20 years old, and his musical talents were becoming increasingly recognized. But beneath the surface, Kirk was struggling. The pressure of his personal circumstances had led him to a crisis of faith. He began questioning everything he had believed in, including his faith and the direction of his life. This was a period of deep introspection for Kirk. He was grappling with the disparity between the person he was expected to be, a devout church musician, and the pain and confusion he felt inside. The church had always been a place of refuge for him, but now, even that was not enough to ease the turmoil he was experiencing. He was caught between two worlds: the world of the church, where he was seen as a talented musician with a bright future, and the world of the streets, where violence, addiction, and despair were constant threats. Kirk's crisis of faith was a turning point in his life. It forced him to confront the harsh realities he had been trying to escape. The pain of his past, the loss of his great-aunt, the trauma of witnessing his friend's murder, and the struggles of young fatherhood all came to a head during this time. He was at a crossroads, and the choices he made during this period would shape the rest of his life. By 1992, Kirk had begun to find some semblance of stability in his life. His musical talents were no longer just a refuge, they were becoming a way out. That year, at the age of 21, Kirk formed a group called The Family, a 17-member choir made up of friends and associates from his youth. This group would become the foundation for his later success in gospel music. The Family was more than just a choir, it was a support system. For Kirk, it was a way to channel the pain and struggles of his past into something positive. The group provided him with a sense of community and belonging, something he had been missing since the death of his great-aunt. Through music, Kirk began to heal the wounds that had been inflicted by years of hardship and loss. The formation of The Family marked a new chapter in Kirk's life. It was a sign that, despite the tragedies he had endured, he was still capable of creating something beautiful. The scars of his past were still there, but they no longer defined him. Instead, they became a source of strength, fueling his passion for music and his determination to succeed. Renewed hope and career. In 1993, the group released their debut album, Kirk Franklin and the Family. The album was a groundbreaking success, marking a significant shift in the gospel music landscape. It became the first gospel album to go platinum, selling over 1 million copies. This achievement was monumental, not just for Franklin, but for gospel music as a whole. The album's success was fueled by Franklin's innovative approach, which blended traditional gospel with contemporary R&B and hip-hop elements. This fusion attracted a younger audience, expanding the reach of gospel music beyond its traditional boundaries. The group didn't stop there. In 1995, they released their second album, Kirk Franklin and the Family Christmas, which was both a commercial and critical success. Franklin's ability to infuse contemporary sounds with the spiritual message of gospel music continued to win over a diverse audience. Then, in 1996, they released What You Lookin' For, an album that would earn Franklin his first Grammy Award for Best Contemporary Soul Gospel Album. This period was crucial in establishing Kirk Franklin as a leading figure in gospel music, setting the stage for the monumental success that was to follow. As the late 1990s approached, Franklin's influence in the music world continued to grow. In 1997, he released the album God's Property from Kirk Franklin's New Nation, which featured the hit single Stomp. This song was a game-changer. Featuring Cheryl Salt James from the iconic group Salt and Peppa, Stomp became a crossover sensation. It received significant airplay on both urban and gospel radio stations, a rare achievement for a gospel track. The album itself went triple platinum, a testament to its wide appeal, and it won several awards, including another Grammy. Franklin's ability to bring gospel music to a broader audience was further solidified with the release of The New Nation Project in 1998. This album featured collaborations with mainstream artists like R. Kelly and Mary J. Blige, bridging the gap between gospel and secular music. The album's success was undeniable, winning multiple awards, including yet another Grammy for Best Contemporary Soul Gospel Album. By the turn of the century, Franklin had firmly established himself as a gospel innovator, someone who wasn't afraid to push the boundaries of the genre while staying true to its spiritual roots. The early 2000s marked a new chapter in Franklin's career as he began to transition into a solo artist while still maintaining his deep roots in gospel music. In 2005, he released Hero, an album that tackled themes of personal struggle, faith, and redemption. The album resonated deeply with listeners, debuting at #1 on both the Billboard Gospel and Christian charts. It was another critical and commercial success for Franklin, earning him multiple Grammy Awards, including Best Contemporary Soul Gospel Album. The song Looking for You from this album became particularly popular, further solidifying Franklin's place in the music industry. Franklin continued to innovate with his 2007 album, The Fight of My Life. This album also topped the Billboard Gospel Albums chart and won a Grammy for Best Contemporary R&B Gospel Album. During this time, Franklin's music became increasingly introspective, dealing with more complex spiritual and personal themes. His ability to connect with his audience on such a deep level made him a standout figure in the world of gospel music. In 2011, Franklin released Hello Fear, an album that once again showcased his ability to craft powerful, uplifting music. The album featured the hit single I Smile, a song that quickly became an anthem of positivity and resilience. I Smile was particularly notable for its ability to cross over into mainstream charts, something few gospel songs managed to do. The album earned Franklin another Grammy Award, adding to his already impressive collection and further cementing his status as a leading voice in gospel music. Throughout the 2010s, Kirk Franklin remained a dominant force in both the gospel and broader music industries. In 2013, he expanded his influence by hosting the television show Sunday Best, a gospel singing competition on BET. This show was more than just entertainment. It became a platform for discovering and nurturing new talent in the gospel music scene. Franklin's role as a mentor and producer on the show helped shape the careers of several up-and-coming gospel artists, further extending his impact on the genre. In 2015, Franklin released Losing My Religion, an album that challenged the traditional boundaries of gospel music. This was a bold and introspective project that dealt with themes of faith, doubt, and the complexities of living a religious life in the modern world. The album was critically acclaimed and won yet another Grammy Award, bringing Franklin's total Grammy wins to 12 by this point. Losing My Religion was a reflection of Franklin's willingness to explore and push the limits of gospel music, ensuring his continued relevance in an ever-changing musical landscape. As the 2020s began, Kirk Franklin showed no signs of slowing down. In 2019, he released the album Long Live Love, which debuted at #1 on the Billboard Gospel Albums chart. This album marked a return to a more traditional gospel sound, with songs that focused on themes of love, hope, and unity. Franklin's consistency in delivering powerful, spiritually uplifting music has kept him at the forefront of gospel music for over 3 decades, a remarkable achievement in any genre. In 2021, Franklin collaborated with the renowned choir group Maverick City Music on the album Jubilee Juneteenth Edition. This album was a celebration of the African-American holiday of Juneteenth and was both a commercial and critical success. The album's timely message and powerful performances earned it widespread praise, further demonstrating Franklin's ability to stay relevant and impactful in the music industry. A controversial past. The battle with pornography addiction. Another significant and controversial aspect of Kirk Franklin's life is his struggle with pornography addiction. This addiction, which began when he was exposed to pornography at the age of 8, became a secret burden that plagued him for many years. Franklin has been candid about how this addiction impacted his life, including his marriage and his personal faith journey. In 2005, Franklin took the brave step of publicly addressing his addiction. He revealed that it had been a serious issue in his life, one that he had fought against even as he was leading a successful career in gospel music. The addiction was a source of deep shame for Franklin, leading him to live a double life where he portrayed a holy image in public while battling his demons in private. He described the experience as a constant battle between his faith and his addiction, one that filled him with guilt and self-loathing. Franklin credits his faith and the unwavering support of his wife, Tammy, for helping him overcome this addiction. However, he acknowledges that the struggle is a part of his past that continues to influence his life. Franklin's openness about his addiction has resonated with many, as it highlights the reality that even those who appear to have it all together can be fighting private battles. Painful family dynamics and mental health struggles. Kirk Franklin's family life has been fraught with tension, conflict, and hardship. His relationship with his biological mother remained strained throughout his life, largely due to the pain of her abandonment. This unresolved tension led to a series of conflicts between Franklin and his mother, making it difficult for him to find closure and peace within his family. Adding to his family's challenges was Franklin's sister, who struggled with a severe crack cocaine addiction, as mentioned earlier. This addiction not only strained the family further, but also added to Franklin's emotional burden. Watching his sister battle addiction and face the consequences, including imprisonment and prostitution, was a source of immense pain for Franklin. These family dynamics, combined with his own personal struggles, created a heavy emotional toll that Franklin carried with him. The weight of these familial issues, along with his own personal challenges, led Franklin to confront his mental health struggles. He has been open about dealing with depression and anxiety, conditions that were exacerbated by the trauma of his past and the pressures of his career. Franklin has become an advocate for mental health awareness, particularly within the African American community, where discussions around mental health are often stigmatized. His willingness to speak out about his mental health struggles has helped to break down barriers and encourage others to seek help. The revelation and reconciliation with his biological father. In 2023, Kirk Franklin's life took a dramatic turn when he made a startling revelation about his biological father. As mentioned before, after years of uncertainty and confusion regarding his paternity, Franklin discovered that a man named Richard Hubbard, whom he had previously dismissed as a possible father, was indeed his biological father. The truth came to light after a DNA test confirmed their relationship, forcing Franklin to confront a complex mix of emotions. This revelation was both shocking and painful for Franklin, as it reopened old wounds related to his abandonment and identity. Having spent much of his life without a father figure, Franklin was suddenly faced with the reality of his father's existence. The discovery forced him to reconsider his feelings towards Hubbard and to navigate the complicated emotions that arose from this newfound knowledge. Despite the initial shock, Franklin chose to embrace this revelation as an opportunity for healing. He publicly forgave his mother for keeping the truth from him, a significant step in his journey towards reconciliation and peace. This act of forgiveness was not easy, but it marked a pivotal moment in Franklin's life, allowing him to begin the process of healing the deep emotional wounds that had plagued him for so long. Perspective on weakness and vulnerability. Kirk Franklin has never shied away from admitting his weaknesses. In fact, he believes that acknowledging one's vulnerabilities is crucial to personal growth and recovery. Franklin often speaks about the pressure society places on individuals, especially celebrities, to appear strong and invincible. However, he argues that true strength lies in the ability to admit when you are struggling and to seek help when needed. Franklin's own life is a testament to this belief. He has faced numerous challenges, from his battles with addiction and mental health issues to his complex family dynamics. Through it all, Franklin has remained open about his struggles, using his platform to encourage others to do the same. He believes that by sharing his story, he can help others who may be facing similar challenges to feel less alone and to find the courage to seek help. Franklin's perspective on weakness is also deeply rooted in his faith. He often compares himself to Clark Kent, the mild-mannered alter ego of Superman, as a reminder that it's okay to be human, to have flaws, and to rely on a higher power for strength. For Franklin, acknowledging his weaknesses is not a sign of defeat, but a step towards healing and growth. Influence on gospel music and his continued journey. Kirk Franklin's impact on gospel music is undeniable. Since his debut in 1993 with the album Kirk Franklin and the Family, Franklin has been a transformative figure in the genre, blending traditional gospel with contemporary sounds like R&B and hip-hop. His music has not only brought gospel to a broader audience, but has also earned him numerous accolades, including multiple Grammy Awards. Despite his success, Franklin has remained grounded, always emphasizing that his music is not about him, but about spreading a message of hope and faith. He has been open about the challenges of balancing his faith with his public image, particularly during award shows where the focus often shifts from the message to the man. Franklin's humility and dedication to his faith have resonated with fans around the world, making him one of the most influential figures in modern gospel music.